All right, Leanne, the Elite 11 is a magical term for anybody in recruiting. And even those of us who aren't like in the recruiting game day after day after day know about the Elite 11. And it's basically an 8 or 9 week process, moving on from region to region and going across the country. And I think they were just in Austin. I believe they're going to Atlanta. They started in LA. They finish up in State College from what I see. And then they do the finals, I believe, in LA again in June. And so I think we got a new category here. You're ahead of me again. Pop out. You got pop out here. So who's popping out to
Yeah.
us at this point?
Well, before we get to the pop out,
Okay.
we talk about Elite 11. That if you're a QB, that's where you want to end up. Whether you make it to a regional, and like Mark said, they make these stops each week. You get a slew of strong regional quarterbacks hoping to punch their ticket, get that golden ticket to that final show. They were in Austin this week. Another thing that they just started is the opening and all 22. Like I talk about in this off season, there's not a lot of opportunities outside a few major camps for the offensive and defensive guys to show their skills. Well, Nike has emerged with Elite 11 to start the opening in all 22. So these are included at some of these regionals that we see for Elite 11. So not only are we seeing top talent regionally when it comes to the quarterback game, we're also seeing some of the top defensive and offensive guys that are not in the quarterback position. And we see a couple of guys who are definitely some strong two-way players, but two guys have already punched their ticket to that Elite 11, and it should be no surprise. I mean, it was just another day at the office for Houston Cougar commit Keisean Henderson, making waves and throwing to the new Aggie commit Mike Brown. Like I said, each time again, if you ever doubted Keisean Henderson was just not a phenomenal athlete, but really striving to solidify him as a QB, just watch him every week, because every week he just continues to impress with his strong arm ability, his just athletic ability, his football IQ. And again, Austin was no different. He punches his ticket to the Elite 11 finals, which should come as no surprise. Of course, there's always the rumblings. Will Houston be able to hang on? And we're hearing today he is visiting Houston, and he's remains committed. It doesn't look like he'll be taking any other visits. He wants to build in Houston. So this is one thing you admire in a time when so many kids, we talk about so many of these elite kids that commit early, they verbally commit, but it, like I say, it's a long way to December. But I think for Keisean Henderson, the Houston Cougars, Willie Fritz and that staff continue to do a good job. He definitely has become the key to the talent in Houston. And I think that, as we continue to get deeper in the thing, there will be more colleges continuing, more programs continue to knock on that door. But you got to admire Keisean's will and determination to build in Houston. And I mean, he would be the face of a franchise, like we like to say in the NFL. Keisean Henderson staying at Houston not only would bring big opportunity for him, but it would bring big opportunity for the program. So I think that Keisean Henderson realizes that, sometimes being loyal, being true, and throwing down from your hometown is the way to go. So it looks like the Houston Cougars remain strong and steadfast in keeping Keisean Henderson. Another guy across the way that has been talking a lot about is Diabell. He may not be a Texas native, but he is committed to Texas. Diabell, another under the radar QB that definitely has a lot of elite skill. He was the second player this weekend at the Austin Regional Mark to punch his ticket to the Elite 11. Another dynamic player. That's another that now that recruitment, while he remains locked in for Texas, we are still hearing that he is talking to some other programs. So while he may be locked in with Texas, unlike Keisean Henderson, he still is frequently talking with some other programs. But again, Steve Sarkisian definitely and his staff doing a tremendous job in trying to lock in this top talent. Again, punching his ticket should come no surprise. This weekend at Elite 11. So Keisean Henderson, Diabell showed out in Texas. Of course, for Diabell, right in his future home backyard as a future Texas Longhorn, punching his ticket out to Cali. So again, and some other guys that we've talked a lot about who were present at the Austin Regional. Malachi Zeigler continues to solidify, continues to rise up the rank. And Peyton Houston, we talk about kids being on the move. Peyton Houston, another dynamic quarterback that just continues every time you see him to grow, to catch more eyes. He had a strong arm, again on display, but man, just looking, I was getting tired just looking at some of the visits that Peyton Houston, I think he's up to 12 unofficial visits at the moment. I mean, he's definitely leaving no stone unturned when it comes to looking at a future program. No emerging leader just yet, but again, you can't help but think Peyton Houston definitely is taking and making the best out of his recruitment. But a lot of quarterbacks in that 2026 class continuing to make a case for a strong showing heading into their seniors and junior seasons.
All right. Yeah, the Elite 11 is it's phenomenal. I went on the website to kind of prep and just to look at the list of all-time great quarterbacks just recently. Of course, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, and then you go back to Aaron Rodgers 20 years ago. So the Elite 11 obviously has been a standard for a long, long time, and we look forward to seeing those regionals conclude here in the next couple of months and lead to Los Angeles. Now we got our pop out list, and you're going to have to fill me in on what you got going here.
I guess I've been listening to a little bit too much Kendrick Lamar. You just got to pop out and show and talk about again. The Austin Regional was a place that we not only saw elite quarterbacks, we saw a lot of versatile players, and I don't know if it's just a Texas thing or just a regional thing, but man, 2026 Legend Bay out of North Forney, athlete as he is described out of Texas. I mean, his name alone already screams greatness, star power. And this is a kid that already, Mark, lives up to the billing. He just has an immense skill set in his toolbox already. He's just got a unique ability to excel at multiple positions. We saw him in Austin, not only as at the Elite 11 portion where he was showing his immense, where he could sling his great quick release, but as you can see here, he also was very, very impressive as a wide receiver. So he went from throwing the ball out to catching the ball, but again, a skilled two-way player that really just is an impressive route runner all weekend. And I think that we're only going to hear more about Legend Bay. He already is making the case for being a legend, not only with his quick release as a strong quarterback from North Forney, but also as a pretty impressive route runner. There was a couple routes on there that he was just spot on every single time. So again, these are the showcases where you like to see these kids like Legend Bay, who don't necessarily get an opportunity, during this off season to really show their tape and their film, because spring ball doesn't start for a lot of these programs here in Texas, not till May. So you're talking about a lot of dead time when you're talking about recruitment for some of these kids, because now we talk about it. These regional camps, these 7-on-7s become even more important when you're talking about those live reps. As we see the spring progress, we see the rankings, the rumblings, everything changing. So, a lot of these players, especially on the high school circuit, even at strong and big programs, even here in Texas, are really having to find a way to continue to get seen. So again, Legend Bay was not only slinging for that Elite 11 with his quick release, his strong arm, he was also catching a lot of reps out there, showing just why he continues to separate himself with, as a two-way player with his unique skill set. But a lot of kid with a lot of upside, and he's definitely going to make a lot of programs in Texas that are trying to knock on his door and keep his talent here, not too far away from home.
All right, my boy's a big Kendrick Lamar fan, so I'll have to ask him about popping out. But next on the list, we got DJ Rump from DeSoto.
That I had to bring some DeSoto kids in here. There was a lot of kids, that I had the opportunity, a lot of names that we've talked about, from Booby Feaster to Sherrod Baker to Miles Johnson Cook, but DJ Rump, a defensive edge that has just got such high mobility. From the moment I saw this kid, he just continued to separate himself every time he got in reps. This is a kid that's going to be really special. He's already holding an offer sheet, from places like Georgia, Georgia Tech, SMU. Whoever wins this kid over, I'm telling you, they're going to get a workhorse. He just continues to separate himself. He won the defensive MVP player this weekend out at the Austin Regional. When you just watch him, what you got to love about a defensive guy is just he's hungry, and he just navigates, again, like I said, Georgia, USC. You can see from his film, he's just a student of the game, but there's just something about his intensity, and match that with his skill set. Like he's just going to go hard every single rep. When I saw him in so many of those playoff games the last 2 years, and when I saw him most recently this past season when DeSoto made that playoff run, I mean, every time he got in, he was just hungrier and hungrier every time. And what you gotta love about him, he's about 6'2", 215, and you can see from his body, really physical guy. He's got a strong build. But the good thing about him with his hot, he's just when it comes to the edge, with his size and his physicality, he's really a good matchup with some of those bigger offensive linemen, and that's what I think makes him appealing when you look at it, is that he can really have no problem chasing down the ball, but he has no problem going head to head with some of the offensive linemen. So a big weekend for DJ Rump. We were hoping to get him on the show, but he's been training, so hopefully he'll tune in with us here sometime soon. But again, a lot of good things for this kid. If you don't know this name, again, get down to DeSoto for spring ball. Georgia, a lot of schools in state are looking at him, but I suspect that more will continue to get on the bandwagon for DJ Rump. This is a kid, like I said, really going to be a really special edge rusher. I really wouldn't be surprised if he lands at a place like Georgia, because again, such an elite skill set and just hungry and thirsty. And he really is kid. And like I said, what makes him appealing is that he is, for his size, his frame, his physicality, he can go with some of those bigger offensive linemen. And, that's a rarity in a good edge.
All right, Leanne, time to break down some more of that Texas talent, this time from the home of the Baylor Bears, Waco, at the running back spot.
Well, it's been a while since I've talked about a running back, another one of my favorite positions. It's always undervalued, but extremely essential, especially in those RPO offenses. But 2027 running back Lathan Wiston out of Waco Midway had a strong weekend. He was one of those guys that really just showed up and showed out, was really the talk of the town in Austin. He as far as a running back, he's kind of like what you like to see, like what I say Shakai Mills Knight is they're more of a strong physical. He's just great mismatch, with his skill and his speed. Again, he has an offer sheet already that he's building, but of course, Baylor is looking to keep him very, very close to home. Definitely not wanting to lose this kind of talent. But again, this is a kid that's just a strong navigator. I talk a lot about, the breakout, the speed, the footwork. But another thing, like I said, when I saw Carde Mack, which is very similar, what I saw in Lathan Wiston in his film from this weekend, was that he is really good at navigating in small areas. So he's one of those running back that when it comes down to it, he's going to fight for the ball, but he really uses his body to be able to navigate and really find a way to get past some of those bigger defenders. So again, Waco Midway, 2027 running back with a strong weekend, probably one of the best, one running back MVP, and rightfully so. Again, he's just quick, but again, you see, he's a stronger, physical, bigger kind of back. But even despite his size, he moves like he's probably about 3 inches shorter and can really navigate. Again, he's one of those running backs that you like, very similar to what, like I say, Shakai Mills Knight. They don't fit the stereotypical frame of a running back, but they have that quickness, that speed, and that physicality to be able to navigate in small spots. And I think that's what really set him apart this weekend, is his ability to really navigate with his size, and his physicality in small, tight settings.